On today's show,
Horford drops the people's elbow on Delhi, but did he deserve to be ejected?
He's back!
Brent Barry returns in the Bone Zone to tell us about the best things he's seen while on the road calling games.
And we predict whether this will be the Rockets' last game of the season.
It's Monday, May 25th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to another playoff edition of The Starters. Whether you're joining us live online, listening to the podcast, catching us on YouTube, watching us on NBA TV, we're happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Mellis.
Hey, you're the best.
To my right, Starters blog editor Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! And finally, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lele.
All right, thanks for joining us here on The Starters. Tonight, we're going to look ahead to Game 4 between the Rockets and the Warriors. And Brent Barry is back. So we'll jump into the Bone Zone, talk to him about calling the games on the road and a couple things that he saw. But first, we start in Cleveland. We start on Sunday night, where once again it was the LeBron James show, carrying the Cavs to the overtime win against the Hawks, 114-111. A wild and weird game. The win, of course, gives the Cavs a commanding 3-0 series lead. We'll get to LeBron.
We'll get to Bron.
But we have to start near the end of the first half, the incident with Al Horford and Cavs guard Matthew Dellavedova. Horford dropping the people's elbow on Delly there as everyone's sort of falling to the ground. He trips over Carroll, who's also on the ground. Upset, of course, Horford was that it was Dellavedova. Gets the flagrant 2 after the officials went and looked at it a million times, and is kicked out of the game, ejected from this game. Do you think that was the right call by the refs?
Well, first, it's quite unfortunate, this one game that the Hawks actually played close, that they didn't have one of or their best player towards the end.
Sure.
I initially thought, there's no way they can eject him for that. There was no flush contact, so that means that he shouldn't be ejected. That being said, we always talk about intent here on this desk, and it really shouldn't matter about the result. He threw down a monster elbow that likely would have gave Matthew Dellavedova some sort of minor concussion. I mean, if that...
If he landed it.
Yes, exactly. So the intent is there. You have to eject him, in my opinion, after seeing it multiple times. You kind of have to.
And plus you hear in all the post-game interviews, basically Al Horford saying, yeah, we knew it was Dellavedova and that's the way he plays, so I didn't mind dropping a bow on him. When he is admitting that he definitely threw an elbow at him, that's why I'm okay with him being ejected. And he didn't even argue with the ejection when they kicked him out at the end of the first half because he knew he took it maybe a little too far.
I think he almost, while he's about to do it, he's upset, of course, that it is Dellavedova and that he feels like that he's rolling over on his ankle, and we can get to whether you think Dellavedova is sort of a dirty player or goes over the line. He almost, I think, thought about clocking him in the head, but because he's Horford, has no track record of being a cheap shot artist or anything, almost catches himself a little bit and decides to, I'm just going to sort of hit him there on the shoulder and sort of moves it. I think otherwise he was ready to snap and was going to clock him in the head. So to me, it's unfortunate. I understand they're going by the, unnecessary, excessive, the flagrant 2 ruling. In the end, maybe again, because it was Dellavedova, it feels like flagrant 1 would have been the right call. Because it did have a huge effect. Yeah, I think it comes into play. I think it does come into play.
I think that's the same with J.R. Smith when he got suspended. I think they do take into account someone's previous record, and he's had a few instances in the playoffs. But I think you're right with Horford. I think he was going to lay it on him, and then at the last second he pulls out because he knows if he connects, not only is he ejected, he's going to get suspended.
Of course.
Minimum 1 game for that. And, I mean, you saw how big a blow it could have been. I mean, if he knocks Dellavedova out, he could have been done for the rest of the playoffs. So
you just can't see it from an NBA player. If you're an NBA referee or an NBA executive or anybody in the front office, you don't want to see big bows thrown around like that. And that's why I'm comfortable with him being ejected. Although at the time, again, I didn't really see flush contact. And plus, hey, I want this to be a competitive game considering the way the first 2 games have gone. I really wanted to see him in the second half. But I was totally fine with him being ejected.
What about Dellavedova? And again, I'm asking you guys here, everyone watching, let us know on Twitter, #TheStarters. Is Dellavedova a dirty player? Because we've seen a couple incidences over the last 2 series, be it with Taj Gibson and locking him up, and that's a little different here.
It's so different.
Or in Game 2, going for a loose ball, rolls over on Korver's ankles, who's out, of course, for the series, and then Game 3 there on Sunday.
You got to look at each incident here, and they're not dirty whatsoever. Nobody talked about the Kyle Korver incident as being dirty until this happened here with Al Horford. And let's be clear, Horford pulls him down. This is the only angle you have to look at, and obviously Dellavedova is going to go down. He didn't go after his ankles in any way. He was thrown to the ground by quite a larger man, and in this instance, he's diving for a loose ball. That's what you want your guys to do in the playoffs. He curled back and corralled it well, so Korver couldn't get his hands on it. That's perfect. The Taj Gibson incident is totally different. That's when Matthew Dellavedova was an extreme pest. He was an irritant.
Yeah.
But that doesn't equal to trying to injure a guy when you leg lock a guy like that. You see it all the time. You saw Draymond Green and Trevor Ariza in game 1 of this series where they try and hug the other guy. The idea is I'm instigating and hopefully he'll retaliate and we'll get points out of it.
Right.
I mean, that's a pest move, but it's not injuring anyone in any sort of way. And either are these, in my opinion. I think he's just working hard. And let's remember, Horford pulled him down.
Lee, do you agree? Is Dellavedova a quote-unquote dirty player in your mind?
No, I don't think you go out because I think if you're a dirty player, you deliberately try to, or premeditatedly go out there to try to hurt someone. I don't think he's done that. I think these are just some unfortunate incidents. And based on Al Horford's reaction, I think that he felt that Dellavedova exaggerated the fall. And I think when he felt the contact on his knee or his ankle area, I think that Horford felt that perhaps that was unnecessary, and that's why he responded the way he did. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I'm just basing that on from what I've seen. But I think that Dellavedova, he's not the most skillful player on the court, so he has to find other ways to make himself useful. I think he's in there, he's tenacious, he's always trying to fight for loose balls, he's going for rebounds and things like that, and I think that's part of his game.
I think if Delly really wanted to take out his ankle, he would have leaned back even more. I think there was lots of room for him to do that, but he just sat up after being yanked down, again, by a larger man after boxing him out. And yeah, Horford saw Delly, who, yes, first of all, number one, they're frustrated with, but also they're frustrated with being down 2-0 after winning 60 games during the regular season. So they're upset and they're peeved. And again, no one really talked about Kyle Korver's incident there. It wasn't an incident after game 2.
Because there was a guy going for a loose
Yeah,
ball.
until this other one. I mean, when people need something to talk about in this series.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is not only, of course, that we're given 5 or 6 minutes to Dellavedova here, whether or not he's dirty and was it intentional or was it
He's
intent or
hitting
whatever.
shots.
But, you know, Al Horford, of course, you said it, is taken out of this game, and that was a huge loss for the Hawks. Some of these guys put up a heck of a fight. Jeff Teague, Bazemore, Shelvin Mack coming in here and giving them minutes, but you saw the effect of not having Horford on the floor as this game went on and how easier it was for the Cavs inside.
Yeah, just a huge difference not having Al Horford at the rim. In the first half, the Cavs shot 30% in the restricted area. In the second half, they shot 68%. And that's basically just because there's not your best rim protector at the rim against the LeBron James team. Once the Cavs saw that there was not going to be an inside presence, they just lived in the lane and kind of got any shot they wanted right next to the rim.
Yeah, I think also what needs to be said is the Cavs get better in the second half every game in this series as well. So that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron James is a smart player. He knows if there's an advantage for the other team, he's going to try to exploit that as much as he can and get his teammates involved. You know, Mozgov, Tristan Thompson, these guys aren't necessarily great post-up players, but you want them close to the basket because they've got that huge advantage.
Again, I said it was a weird game, a wild game, not only because of the Dellavedova incident, but LeBron James starting a playoff game 0 for 10. That's sort of odd, but then, of course, gets it going and ends up with a line that we've never seen before in a playoff game in 37 points, 18 rebounds, and 13 assists.
And, Andy hit those 2 big shots at the end as well when he's been shooting terribly from three-point range in this series and in the playoffs, and he hits a huge one that sealed the game for them.
It's crazy to see LeBron scoreless in a first quarter of a playoff game. The only other time it happened was the quote-unquote disappearing act. 2010, his last home game before leaving Cleveland, Game 5 against the Celtics. That one ended a lot differently than this one because he performed in quarters 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, that monstrous 3 in the corner there that was caused by an offensive rebound, another Achilles heel of the Atlanta Hawks. And then you saw LeBron down on all fours. He was a little tired.
Is that a little dramatic?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
He earned it. Who cares?
I think if you're the Golden State Warriors, you like seeing that. You know that he's exhausted.
Well, yeah, that's why, I mean, you remember last year in the finals?
Yeah.
Game 1 was the cramping situation. He wants this series over with as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Just to
And
get
he-
as much rest as possible. And not only in Game 1 of the finals last year, but throughout it. He wasn't himself.
And he talked about, after the game, in that overtime, had thought about coming out there at one point because, again, he was cramping, he was
Yeah.
tired, and in the end said, you know what, no, let me just walk it out here. Let's walk it off and continue to play and hit some huge shots, as you said, Lee. And there you go. You know, look at this list. We have labeled this board, hey, these guys are pretty good. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah, a lot of postseason games with 30-plus points. All of that said, Hawks had their chances in this game. Again, with a very limited group. No Korver because of the injury in Game 2. No Horford because he drops the people's elbow and is ejected. And here they are in the fourth quarter or overtime with some looks, either Teague at the end of regulation, sort of frustrating to see him
Settle
settle
job.
for that.
Yeah.
That was a little frustrating. But then in overtime, Mike Scott getting some looks that didn't drop, and Shelvin Mack on the final too.
Yeah, the Hawks had incredible depth the entire season, and then they ended this game with Jeff Teague, Shelvin Mack, Paul Millsap, Mike Scott, and Pero Antic, just because all the injuries, the ejections. It's pretty unfortunate for the Hawks.
And why does Mike Scott not grab this rebound?
Because he hasn't played meaningful minutes in
Yeah.
probably the past few weeks,
And
and
it's-
he's a little rattled, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's quite possible.
You always think when you're not sure, you just grab it when it's right there. If you can't grab it, if it's out of reach, you might slip out of your fingers and leave it. But he had a chance to really grab it and keep.
Not only would he have been able to grab it, would have had actually a decent look there.
Yeah.
From the baseline, and then here, Shelvin Mack in the overtime period, throwing up a very contested shot. They get the rebound. Tough pass from Millsap, a little high, of course. Mack still gets a decent look and falls short, and here we are,
He
Hawks down
returned it to
3-0.
I think it needs to be said, though, after that great return of the Mac joke, that not only are the Hawks decimated, but the Cavs are too.
Yes,
sure.
Two of their big three are out, and LeBron is obviously running on fumes and having to carry his team for a lot of this game.
All right, lots still to come here on the starters. As I said, when we come back, Brent Barry back in the bone zone. It's been too long. Come on back. Welcome back to the starters, and welcome back, Brent Barry, into the bone zone. Yes.
I made it.
It's been so long.
Survived the road.
It's been months, it feels like. So
It has been. I've missed you guys.
Yeah.
Right back at you.
Shows have been great. I had a great experience out there, and now I'm back.
I'm
back, baby.
Calling games, of course, for NBA TV and TNT. I guess you were with the Grizzlies Blazers series and then the Wizards Hawks.
Yeah, I just brought back a few photos just to jog my own memory. This is the view, from the broadcast booth.
Not
This-
bad.
This is all new
Decent
to me,
seats.
so it's kind of cool seats. And there's a lot going on in front of you. Lots of cables and wires and stats. I did walk down the street in Washington to make sure that you guys were supported, and I was thinking about you near the Washington
Were
Monument.
people honking at you and stuff? Hey, nice shirt.
No. Got a great chance to work with Kevin Calabro, who called
Right.
all the years in Seattle. I played for the
yeah.
Seattle Supersonics, Kevin Calabro, for 5 years. That was a genuine treat just to spend some time with him. And
One of the best.
He's
Such
got
a
a great
pro.
voice.
Such a pro. And
What's
then
this?
is a picture of. So I did with Kevin. I did game 4 in Memphis, and then the very next day, my son Cade had a little league game, and this is my setup the very next day as I do the in-game announcements and music and walk-up music for the
Oh,
the
wow.
little
Nice little league
9-year-olds.
field.
Great little league field.
Yeah.
So I went from Memphis courtside to Alamo Heights
Any Pearl
field,
Jam?
field box.
Any Pearl Jam walk-up songs?
Are you kidding? All Pearl Jam. I have to play all the hits for the kids there, Lee, but I sneak it in every now and then. And then, I mean, this is kind of, this is material. It's a lot more work. I guess if you want to do the work.
Right, right.
It's a lot of stuff to go over, and was really awesome. I mean, genuinely had a great thrill and learned a ton about how it is that TNT and I'm sure ESPN, how much work, how much the crew puts into it, how much there is to tell a story about a game and actually try to do a broadcast that's worthwhile. So
Again,
great time.
You did
It's
a
fun.
great job.
Thank you.
Absolutely great job.
I'm sure it's a lot of work. I mean, there's nothing on these sheets. This is all fake.
Well, for the starters, I bring
Yeah. It's like a post-it note. Yeah.
I brought this.
We also kept,
There's like bills on the other side. Of it.
Thanks for putting in some pregame work here.
Yeah.
we also kept tabs on all your one-liners throughout the postseason.
Oh, boy.
There are some great ones.
Well, thank you.
So feel free to add these to the demo reel.
Yeah, here
Okay.
we go.
Has there ever been a better tandem of brothers that have played in the NBA? Pau Gasol and Marc Gasol.
It's unfortunate that John didn't have a good career, but yes, certainly. Kidding, Kevin, I'm kidding.
And then after the series was over, he tacked on a little troll move with some photos.
Yes, he is a cyber-toothed tiger.
He is. And T.I., he could be the third man in the booth. He's that close to us right now, Brent, just to our left.
Imagine if T.I. was your IT guy.
that
could be
that
really
could be very confusing.
Yeah, very confusing. You see Wall come into the picture, not known as an outside Schroeder. He knocks it down.
Well, I'm sorry. Did you?
Yeah, you heard it.
Did you just say that?
Yeah, I did it.
Outside Schroeder.
Oh, we love a good play
some
on
gems.
words.
Some gems.
Very nice. Pulled out the pun gun. Yeah. Shooting that pun
You know,
gun.
the thing, it was awesome. It was crazy. I mean, so I got to call games this year with Kevin Harlan, Marv. I should start with Marv. He'll probably hurt me. because-
Sure.
Marv Albert, Kevin Harlan, Dick Stockton, Kevin Calabro, and Ian Eagle. I mean,
Wow.
these are icons of the game, and Ian was amazing just because he's so dry and he's so quick and he's got such a great wit that I tried to out-dry him.
Yeah.
And it was, he kept trying to go at him, but the guy was fantastic, and I had a great time with the whole crew.
Sort of going back to that photo of your courtside seat, of course,
Yeah.
calling the games. With any of these series that you watch, was there anyone in particular, player-wise, sitting courtside, seeing them right there, that either impressed you a little bit more than maybe you pick up on, of course, just watching on TV?
Yeah, I don't know what video Matt's showing first, but
Whatever
John
one you
Wall
go with.
to me was his comeback, sitting courtside for that Game 5 with John Wall coming back with 5 displaced fractures in his hand to do what he did after this injury, where they were undefeated with John Wall in the lineup playing unbelievable ball, and for him to come out in that Game 5, ended up losing for the first time.
Right.
15-7 in that game was just remarkable. The type of competitiveness and fire that he showed, and just no let up, awesome. Also in that series, watching Bradley Beal play. I mean, Bradley Beal is for real. The guy is a phenomenal talent. He showed how much more he's capable of doing. Maybe that's something for Coach Whitman to turn a few things over to him. I know a lot of talk throughout the year about how the Wizards played so much mid-range basketball and had John Wall really facilitating all of that. To maybe give Bradley Beal some more chances could make them a lot more dynamic offensively. He was fantastic. And then Paul Pierce, his performance, being able to watch Paul up close to do what he did, it seemed like every time he touched the ball, something at the end of the game, obviously magical, was going to happen, and it damn well did, except for maybe 0.3 seconds. They would have had another game, so close in that last one. So those guys, fantastic. Memphis, everything Tony Allen. I mean, everything Grindfather.
Oh, yeah.
How do you not find this guy entertaining both on and off the floor? So
Did you hear him screaming first team all defense?
that was the Warriors series, and I think while I was watching from San Antonio, I heard it. Yeah.
Well, Bones, it's great to have you back. Again,
Thank you,
great
guys.
job. I know that all of the Starters fans loving your work on the call.
Appreciate it.
So we'll have you back for good.
And congrats on you guys in the hoops hype thing advancing. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a big win for us, couldn't
We
bring it
got
home
crushed.
again.
I'm going to go down to Van Gundy in that, so it's all right.
Look, we're flaming out early.
We'll
All
go
right.
celebrate. We're in the bracket.
Exactly. All right. Gotta take a quick break. When we come back, do the Rockets have a little fight left in them? We'll debate that next. You're watching the Starters. Back with the Starters, looking ahead to tonight's Game 4 between the Rockets and the Warriors. But first, Game 3 there on Saturday. You see the beatdown that Steph Curry and the Warriors laid on the Rockets in Houston, 115-80. Steph Curry, bloody fantastic in this. Scores a game-high 40 points on 19 shots, while breaking the NBA record for most three-pointers made in a single postseason in the process. Bogut, Green, double-doubles from both those guys. They got up by 25 early in this game, even extended the lead later as it went on. Yeah, killing time on the fast break at points just to get this over. It was one of the biggest road wins in conference finals history. A little bit behind the Lakers beating the Warriors by 56 in 1973, but yeah, 35 in the end. Not bad. We could get to whether or not you think the Rockets are going to extend this thing, and maybe we get a gentleman's sweep, but Steph Curry is, I mean, he's a monster right now. I don't really know what you do with this guy. I don't know how you slow him down when he's got it going like this.
It's unfair, really. The Rockets haven't missed Patrick Beverley really until this round in the playoffs because they just don't have anybody that can stick with Steph Curry on the dribble and then be able to follow him off the ball. Because every time he touches it, it seems like he's getting an open shot, and every time he shoots it, it seems like it's going in.
He's even surprising himself if you watch him out there playing. Like, he's knocking them in and he's just like, this is unbelievable. And everyone in the crowd, I mean, they're obviously going for Houston, but I think they're actually enjoying seeing just an amazing performance from this guy.
34 of Curry's 62 shots in this series have been uncontested.
That's too many uncontested, I would say.
Yeah,
See,
but
that's what you do to slow down Curry.
You try and contest
Yeah,
shots.
maybe.
But I would like to know what they do count as uncontested, because I think it's more to do with his release being so
Of course, that's a huge part of it.
It's
It's over 3 feet, so it's 4 feet or more.
But his release.
Away, that's a lot of feet
Yeah,
on a basketball.
But
court.
Lee's right to some extent. His release is so fast that
Yeah.
a normal shooter, maybe the guy gets there at a little bit in time.
He
Yeah,
doesn't need to. The ball hits his hands and it's out as quick as it can be.
0.4 seconds,
Yeah.
according to Sports Science.
So what can the Rockets
That's
do
fast.
to try to extend this
I
thing?
don't know how that's fast.
It is very fast. Can they do anything? I mean, it starts probably with James Harden, who had, after having 2 great games, games 1 and 2 in this series, threw up a dud in game 3. And they actually, we talked about it on the drop on Friday, Trey. You had brought up this point about whether they would sort of stick with Clay on him, and that was sort of wearing Clay out on the other end offensively. In game 3, Kerr decided to put a lot of Harrison Barnes on him, and of course Andre Iguodala. I mean,
Yeah.
Clay got some reps on him as well, but they definitely threw more bodies at him. You think that's something that will continue in game 4?
Well,
Definitely have to assume it will be.
the one-on-one matchup is the right matchup for James Harden. Don't double him. It doesn't make sense. I think that they're staying home on everybody else, and it helps out whoever they throw on him. But I was surprised that Kerr waited until game 3 to see Iggy or Barnes or whoever on him, because they can do that.
They've got the bodies. You're absolutely right.
It kind of feels like Harden had figured out Klay Thompson at that point, that he could get his step back whenever he wanted or he could get to the rim. But when they played him with a couple of new guys, he had to figure that out, could never get going. Shot 2 of 10 on uncontested shots just because he never got in a rhythm. And you have to give the Warriors props for always having help defense there, because when James Harden's trying to get inside, you either have to foul him or play good defense, and they did a good job of playing good D.
What do you do here if the Rockets, I mean, we've seen them, battle over adversity before. Of course, last series, they're down 3-1. This is different. They're down 3-0. No team's ever come back to win a series down 3-0. But can this team put up a fight here tonight and at least give us game 5 in Golden State? What do you think?
Well, they looked down for the count against the Clippers when they were down 3-1, and they shocked everybody. So there's certainly, it's in their DNA that they can come back and fight. But the problem is, I think that they played 2 pretty good games in Golden State but had nothing to show for it. And then game 3, that's when Steph Curry actually had a really good game, and Clay as well. Emotionally, just to have to fight again and again against this relentless Warriors team is just so difficult for the Rockets.
The Warriors get better as the series go on.
Yeah.
That's what happened with the Grizzlies. That's what's happening with the Rockets. I think the Rockets have to worry about the Warriors on the other side. Not even about themselves. They're just playing against a better team right now.
We will see. Final break when we return. Lily's very solid play of the night. Come on back. We're watching the Spurs. Back with the starters. Over to Lily for the very solid play of the night. Lee.
We're going deep inside the cube, but it's actually a play from the Atlanta Hawks. Mike Scott with a beautiful bounce pass to Jeff Teague, who puts it down, getting back to the very solid play roots with a bounce pass.
He does
and
dunk
a nice
it.
finish. Doesn't throw it down too hard. That's beautiful, and that's what I call a very solid play.
Excellent.
That was a good one. But now it's time for a new segment called Very Solid Refereeing. Joey Crawford went above and beyond, and that did not go unnoticed by the starters.
So somebody threw something on the court.
No, someone's mouth guard.
Oh, it is. It's a mouth guard. Yes.
DeMarre Carroll.
Yes.
Well, how about Joey picking it up? If I'm DeMarre Carroll, I say just leave it there.
Yeah, I'm kicking it.
Yeah.
What's
I know you want to pick up my mouth guard.
Kissing last night.
And that's what I call very solid refereeing.
You're also very gross picking up a mouth guard. All right, guys, we'll be back here tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, if you fall over, you can blame it on Dellavedova.
Brace the night, people.